Good afternoon, friends. So, the polling for all the phases of the assembly elections in the various states, including Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, and Goa, is finally over. And what has been happening since last evening is the results of the various exit polls are coming out, and people are analyzing that, giving different results, interpretations, predictions by people who are into statistics, people who are sophologists, so on and so forth. Now, this impromptu talk, which I wanted to share, is not discuss the individual or the projected results of these exit polls, but essentially why I am not satisfied with the overall output results which the exit polls are giving. I'm not even talking about the methodology. I mean, you could say Punjab has a population of 3 crores, an electorate of almost 2 crores. And if you interview on exit 75,000 people physically for various constituencies, 117 in number, and assuming that people will actually divulge for whom they voted, then what is this statistical error, etc., or not? What I'm saying is that after having done whatever you did, whether you interviewed physically, whether you interviewed electronically, whether you sent SMS and WhatsApp messages, and assuming that the results or the responses of the people were by and large correct, what I'm concerned is that still the exit polls do not tell me the full story. And I'm going to actually emphasize on 2 points. Sorry to disappoint various people. I'm not at all going to say whether the poll or the exit polls in respect of Uttar Pradesh or Aam Aadmi Party in case of Punjab, they are correct, I believe them or not. That is not the point. What I'm going to really emphasize is 2 points where I, as an end user, am dissatisfied with the results which these exit polls really are coming out with. One of my favorite phrases is that it is better to be approximately correct than to be precisely wrong. Now, the exit polls, they claim that they go to each and every constituency by whatever method. I'm not even talking about the methodology. They go and they say that we've done our homework, and they come out with an overall cumulative figure that, okay, Punjab has 117, Party A is getting 70, Party B is getting 30, Party C is getting 7, so on and so forth. Like in mathematics, like in arithmetic in school, sometimes we would get the right answer, but the working was wrong, and the teacher would actually give us a big fat 0. Now, let us assume that you have done this homework. Then it is reasonable for me as the end consumer to expect that the various exit polls would actually have projected result for each constituency. Now, if you tell me that in case of Punjab, Aam Aadmi Party is getting 50 seats or 60 seats, it doesn't matter. In case of Uttar Pradesh, the Bharatiya Janata Party is getting 225 seats. I think what I would like to know is which of those seats they are winning. Now, if let us say you predict 50 seats or 55 seats from Aam Aadmi Party in Punjab, and they actually get the exact same number, then the exit poll is going to claim, hey, we told you 55 and they've got 55. We predicted 70, they've got 70. Now, if you're so sure about your methodology, I would like to know the identity of those 50 seats from where those political parties' candidates are winning. Because you claim to have gone and you're coming out with a cumulative figure, why don't you tell me each and every constituency? It is arithmetically and even statistically and probabilistically possible that the end result that you get may be precisely correct. They may get exactly the same number of seats. Fine, you predicted. But you're 100% wrong in predicting the constituencies. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, in that particular eventuality, even if you're able to predict the total number of seats, it is not only a imprecise or unprecise exit poll, I would say it is misleading. So therefore, if we as consumers, we as people who view, we as the people who are lend our eyeballs and our attention to the TV channels and the web channels, we should be asking the people who sponsor and conduct these exit polls to please tell us precisely the constituencies from where these people are winning, so that we can then see, were you actually right and correct in your prediction? And as a corollary, if you are able to predict the winner, then surely you must also know the runners up. So ideally speaking, I would like, as an end consumer, to know the specific assembly segment seats from where you are saying a particular political party's candidate is winning and who is at number 2. In absence of that, just juggling numbers and telling a broad range from 51 to 62 does not cut any ice with me. And I speak for myself. You got to take a call as to whether you are going to ask for something more specific with the searching specificity of a stringent statistician. But I wouldn't be just satisfied with broad numbers and broad ranges. I would like to know the specific seats from where the candidates are winning. The other thing is that that's the point number 1, over and done with. The point number 2, which I would like to then talk about, is sometimes we talk in terms of the total number of votes cast. And they sometimes say party A is getting 33% votes, party B is getting 29% votes, party C is getting 20% votes. And then they deduce from there that the party with the largest percentage of votes may actually, logically and intuitively, it feels right, may get the largest number of seats. I am afraid in the system that we have in India, which is first past the post, this does not necessarily hold true. Let me tell you why. Now, assume there are few seats in which a particular political party is very strong. It may get, let us say, in theory, 80% of votes in those constituencies. But at the end of the day, you would still have 1 seat, 2 seats with 80% polling in your favor. So therefore, in the terms of the overall votes cast, you are bagging more and more votes, but the seats which you're getting are limited because you've done exceptionally well in a particular set of constituencies. It's just like in your matriculation examination, you may be having 100 out of 100 in maths and science, but you could be pulled down others, and the average is going to come down. And on the other side, there could be constituencies which are narrowly fought. I mean, you may be getting 32%, the party which wins is getting 33%. Of course, statistically, things should even out, but in real life, a particular party which is winning by a huge margin in its pocket boroughs in areas where it is strong can lose narrowly in other set of constituencies. It's always possible. Now, once that happens, then in spite of the fact that you are polling the largest number of popular vote as such, you may not have proportionately the same number or disproportionately more number of seats. You could actually land up with fewer seats because you manage to lose important seats in terms of narrow margins, or there are pockets within the state where you are literally drawing a blank. So therefore, these 2 points, overall popular vote is important. It is a very important barometer, but may not necessarily translate. Sometimes it goes disproportionately more, sometimes it can even go disproportionately less. So therefore, in a scenario where party A, party B, party C are having, let us say, 20% of solid votes, and party D has, let's say, 7%, so you have 67% of votes are tied. They are not going to make any difference. It is the floating vote, it is the marginal voters, the voters who decide on the spur of the moment, or who are not wedded to any political ideology or political party. Those people who vote essentially in a closely knit contest are going to give you what results come. So therefore, when, friends, we see and talk to people who are projecting exit polls, I would like, at cost of repetition, to summarize this little talk. I don't want to linger it on. Firstly, I would be happy if you give me the constituencies from where the projected winners are going to come from, if possible, the runners up, and also that if you're talking in terms of total number of votes, the method by which you derived those, please let us know what is the projected polling that you have done for those constituencies or projected. So these, friends, are random musing and thoughts that I wanted to have. I'm not criticizing the accuracy. I'm not saying that these polls do not work or they're 100% correct, whether there is pseudoscience, whether it's a psephology and astrology picked together, or it's just a marketing gimmick. I would not like to comment upon that. The proof of the pudding is in eating it. That would come only on 8th, beg your pardon, on the 10th of March, after all the votes have been counted. But we should, and we need to, as voters, as citizens, as consumers of this electronic information, ask them these searching and pointed questions, because otherwise, a person who's like an octopus projecting in the World Cup, there is 1/16 chance that a poor team may also win and ultimately become world famous that the octopus projected Portugal as the winner or the runners up. So this is what I wanted to say. There are questions, friends. Rakesh Patni, even assuming R does come to power now as predicted, how do you see the political scenario emerging in Punjab and so on and so forth? Now, these are things which we will discuss when we have a clear picture. Right now, it would all be conjectures, hypotheses. Let the solid numbers come, and then we can go ahead and talk about those. But as a footnote, and a very important footnote, is that this Vidhan Sabha elections is going to then send members of parliament to Rajya Sabha in Punjab. Normally, what we are taught in civics books, and that is what also is there in the constitution, that 1/3 of the members, they retire every year. Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. Once you get elected, you have a fixed tenure of 6 years, not 5 years, 6 years. So approximately 1/3 of the people retire. So therefore, Punjab, which has 7 seats, would ideally speaking be sending after every 2 years 2 Rajya Sabha members, so 3 or 2 after a gap of 2 years. But what has happened peculiarly in case of Punjab is that it remained under long spells of president's rule when it did not have any legislative assembly. So no member of parliament to Rajya Sabha was sent from Punjab. And when the things came, they were sent in one go. So very interestingly, the current house, in which Congress has a majority, which is going to live its full life of 5 years before being dissolved now after the counting is over, has not been able to send even a single member of parliament to Rajya Sabha because their term was 6 years and it was so straddled that it came to this particular Vidhan Sabha. And now in this, 5 vacancies immediately have arisen and 2 are going to arise sometime, I think in May or June or July. So out of these 5, 3 plus 2, 3 in one round of polling and 2 in other round of polling. So therefore, if a party has a majority in a house of 117, any party, if it gets, let us say, 70, then it's very easy that they would split their votes 35 and 35 and have two of those three members going to the Rajya Sabha, and of course, which is the runners up, could get the third member going to the Rajya Sabha. And then you come to the other two seats, which would come a couple of months later. Now, if a party has a two-third majority, then it can actually split those votes, 34 and 33, and make sure that both of them come to you. So that is the way we elect our Rajya Sabha MPs. So this particular Vidhan Sabha, apart from deciding who's going to form the government, is also going to decide as many as 7 members of parliament going to Rajya Sabha from Punjab. And the notification for the first one is going to be issued as soon as the 14th of March. And last date of filing nomination is 21st of March. And within this month, you would have 5 new faces representing Punjab in Rajya Sabha. People like Mr. Naresh Gujral, Mr. Sukhdev Singh Dhinsa, Mr. Shamsher Singh Dulo, Mr. Pratap Bajwa, the old stalwarts, which were sent to the parliament by not the current house, but the previous one. Those people are going to retire, and we will have a new set of members of parliament. And also that in the event Mr. Bhagwant Mann is elected from Dhuri and becomes the chief minister, then the Lok Sabha parliamentary seat of Sangrur is going to be up for grabs. In that sense, a by-election for that would have to be conducted. That's, of course, a biggish affair, but Rajya Sabha is a small affair, 117 members casting votes, and lo and behold, you have members of parliament. Earlier, what the constitution used to say is that you need to be a registered voter for the state in which you want to be elected. Rajya Sabha was nothing but a council of states. And I do remember that when Sardar Manmohan Singh wanted to get into the Rajya Sabha from Assam, he would go there and rent a house and put Manmohan Singh and try and get his vote registered in Assam and so on and so forth. But subsequently, and I think it suited everyone, they amended the constitution, and now as long as you are a voter anywhere in India, which means you have to be a citizen of India, and the age limit for a Rajya Sabha MP, mind you, is 30. For the Vidhan Sabha, it is 25. To vote, it is 18. To be the President of India, it is 35. So any person who's a registered voter anywhere in the country and is over 30 years of age can theoretically contest these Rajya Sabha elections. Of course, you need to be proposed by requisite number of MLAs before your nomination can be accepted. So, friends, this is what I wanted to talk about. The idea was not to get into the pros and cons, whether these polls or the exit polls are contradictory or they are merely to grab the eyeballs. And therefore, I would very much like that if there are any comments and any other further areas you would like me to subsequently touch, I'll be happy to do so. And in the meantime, this has been a very long election process, and imagine the candidates from Punjab who've had the agonizing wait. They would know what really comes in on the 10th. There are technical issues. I could, one of these days talk about those, how the EVMs are counted, how the EVMs are mixed so that you really don't know from what polling booth they come, so that you don't know one mahalla has actually voted against you or for you. What about the voting by the service voters, which is the paramilitary and the armed forces? What about electors on election duty, voters on election duty? how their votes are counted. And of course, this time when the senior citizens or super senior citizens over 80, their polling, their voting has already been done, literally on house-to-house basis. How are they going to be counted? So all those are technical issues we'll take up later. But happy that on this short notice, friends have joined, and a few comments I would perhaps be answering them online. Kanwar Manjeet Singh has said, use demoralized polling agents and so on. Various things, everything is possible. But the fact of the matter is that ultimately it is the results that are pouring out of the ballot boxes, read EVMs, read electronic voting machines, that really are going to count at the end of the day. So, friends, thanks for joining. Participate and enjoy this great festival of Indian democracy, the elections. Have a great day ahead.